Okay folks, so I just thought it might be helpful to say a few words about mine and where it went right and where it went wrong. Quite unusual actually for me to show something that's finished, so it may not happen again, but nevertheless let's just give it a whirl. I was quite pleased with the sky. I did, despite what I said earlier, I did go back into mine a little bit more and gave it another wash of the raw sienna, just to slightly warm the sky up a little bit, and then followed it by another slightly more detailed application of the crimson, again just to warm it and give it a little bit more strength in the areas of red that I wanted to. I purposefully made a little bit of distinction between the headline and knowing the subject. I was aware that there were these rocks in front and how the sea went at the back, and I quite like the idea of promoting this little area, so it goes light here behind the rock, continues the light against the horizon, and then changes a little bit, so the horizon doesn't necessarily become a static line, it's a line that actually comes and goes a little bit, helped of course by this little bit of outcrop of rocks that stands in front of the more distant horizon line. Excuse me. It was quite important for me just to pick up and emphasize the red in the sea from the sky, but whilst doing so also adding a little bit more cerulean blue to give a contrast in the sea. Just a point, I think it's often we see that the horizon line against the sky, that the line given by the sea is actually more striking than that we see in the sky. So the same again, I've just tried to make a little bit more, and I think we talked before about not making these areas flat as they almost appear in the photograph as silhouettes, so slightly exaggerating the ranges and the different tones of the rocks and colour, and again so that the light does present these in silhouette, but just giving a little bit more of a variation. Knowing this view, I know that this particular part of the seawall curves. It's not a straight flat edge, it's a curved edge, so again I've tried to illustrate that by grading out that tone a little bit. I've also consciously tried to push back the boats. They're in shadow, but once again just trying to emphasize a little bit of the light here and there, so it gives a bit more of a contrast. I've made more of the reflections, and then I've tried to keep this at the front fairly loose, maintaining those lines we talked about with regard to giving some sort of direction into the scene, and then I've used a bit of splattering, but do be careful, I didn't cover it very well and it's sort of gone beyond a bit here and there where I would want it to do so. And as this foreground comes forward a little bit, I've tried to emphasize the nearness of that part of the wet sand by strengthening the colour. So that's that. I hope you enjoyed the exercise, and you'll see later in the email where we've looked at your work and made some comment. So there we are then. Thank you.